Welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Recently, the CCP's most important mouthpiece, People's Daily, published a very unusual article, which led many China observers to believe that there must be something wrong with Xi Jinping, or at least his status within the party is not as solid as many people have imagined. So today, let's talk about this article and why it matters. On December 9th, the People's Daily published an article entitled "Reform and Opening Up is a Great Awakening of the Party." This article is about 4,000 words. The main point is just like what is indicated in the title, how great the party's reform and opening up policy is, and how this policy has profoundly changed China, etc. So on the surface, there is nothing new about this. This kind of propaganda had been repeated tens of thousands of times before. So why people would feel strange about it? Remember this chart I showed 1 month ago when I talked about the CCP's much anticipated 6th plenary session, when the 3rd resolution of the CCP's major achievements and historic experience was passed? So this chart shows how many times each of the different generation CCP leaders were mentioned in the CCP's propaganda article before the 6th plenary session. So the clear message of that article, as well as the 3rd resolution itself, was Xi Jinping is the new and only core of the party, and the reform and opening up to the outside world was officially over with the new era of Xi Jinping's time coming. That's why I did this video to summarize the main message of the CCP's 6th plenary session. However, 1 month later, in the 4,000-word-long article, the message was completely reversed. The entire article is about how important, how great the reform and opening up policy is. And not only was the message reversed, but Xi Jinping's name was also mentioned 0 times in this new article, while Deng Xiaoping was again portrayed as the great leader with his name mentioned 9 times. Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao were also each mentioned once, but no Xi Jinping at all. You might want to say, what's the big deal here? Perhaps in a normal country, this would not be a big deal. But in the CCP's China, this is a very big deal. Let me tell you a true story during China's Cultural Revolution. Let's look at this picture first. I think you all know who is the man on the left. Yes, it was the CCP's first generation leader Mao Zedong. The man on the right was Lin Biao. Lin Biao was one of the 10 most important marshals of the CCP and had fought several of the most important battles for the CCP during China's Civil War. So you can say that he contributed a lot in terms of helping the CCP to drive Kuomintang to Taiwan and established the CCP's own regime in mainland China. He became the sole vice chairman of the CCP in 1966 when the Cultural Revolution started. So this is a picture of him reading Mao's Little Red Book. He was very eager to show how loyal he was to Mao. In 1969, he was officially selected as Mao's successor. His position as Mao's closest comrade in arms and successor was even officially written into the CCP's party constitution. So he became the number 2 most powerful man in China. So during that time, whenever the CCP had a meeting, everybody would always say, "Long live our great leader, Chairman Mao," first. and this would be immediately followed with, May great leader Mao's closest comrade in arms, Vice Chairman Lin, be in good health forever. So see, this is a propaganda painting at that time. The Chinese words under his picture are, May Vice Chairman Lin stay healthy forever. So at that time, sometimes people used healthy forever to refer to Lin Biao. And then Lin Biao's picture was even put on the title page of the quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong at that time. So that was how important Lin Biao was. And also during that time, in the Cultural Revolution, there was a political prisoner called Luo Yushi, who was jailed for being a counter-revolutionary. On September 15, 1971, he suddenly tore off Lin Biao's picture from his copy of quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong, threw it on the ground, and stepped on it several times. Immediately, he was taken to the duty room, and the head prison guard asked him why he dared to do such a thing to Chairman Mao's close comrade in arms. Luo Yushi calmly replied, he is no longer a close comrade of Chairman Mao, nor is he the deputy commander anymore. The prison guard was furious and ordered to put him in solitary confinement for daring to say that. The prison guard thought he was just crazy. Several days later, Luo Yushi was released from solitary confinement. It turned out that on September 13th that year, Lin Biao tried to escape from China, defect to the Soviet Union, but died on his way when the aircraft carrying him and several of his family members crashed in Mongolia. It was said that Lin had planned to assassinate Mao Zedong after he felt that Mao no longer trusted him and that his life was in danger. But his coup attempt failed, so he tried to escape to the Soviet Union. It was said his aircraft was shot down by the CCP, but the real situation remains a mystery even today. Anyway, let's go back to the story of the political prisoner Luo Yushi. When the prison guards released him from solitary confinement, they were very curious to know how he would know that Lin Biao was no longer Chairman Mao's close comrade as early as just 2 days after Lin Biao's death, as at that time his defection and death had not been made public yet. It was still a secret. Even the prison guards knew nothing about it. Luo Yushi said it was an easy guess. On September 14th, that was on the following day of Lin Biao's death, when he read a Xinhua report about an event in Beijing, he found that after everyone cheered, "Long live Chairman Mao," nobody said, "May Vice Chairman Lin stay healthy forever." That sentence was missing. Also, when the then Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai gave a reception to a visiting delegation from Africa, he only said he welcomed the delegation on behalf of great leader Chairman Mao. He didn't mention Vice Chairman Lin at all. For a cautious person like Zhou Enlai, it was impossible for him to forget to mention Vice Chairman Lin if he should have been mentioned. Luo Yushi said he also noticed that on the newspaper Sichuan Daily, Lin Biao's inscription went missing on September 14th. It had always been there on the top horizontal line of page 2, 3, and 4 before September 13th, but the inscription was gone on September 14th. So that's how he concluded that Lin Biao was no longer Mao's comrade, and it was time to tear off his picture from Mao's little red book. After his explanation, the prison guards really admired him and praised him for having such sharp eyes and such a high level of political awareness. Many years later, Luo Yushi said it was not that he had sharp eyes or a high level of political awareness. The reason why he read the newspapers so carefully in the prison was that he just wanted to know when the class struggle would end so that he could get out of the prison and go home. So now let's go back to the People's Daily article that has no mention of Xi Jinping at all. What we need to note is 1. Where was this article published? It was published in the People's Daily and then recarried by Qiu Shi Theory magazine. In China, there's a term called 两报一刊, which means 2 newspapers and 1 magazine. The 2 newspapers refer to the People's Daily and PLA Daily. PLA is the People's Liberation Army, so PLA Daily is the military paper. 1 magazine refers to Qiu Shi Theory magazine. So the 2 newspapers and 1 magazine are the most important publications of the CCP in terms of authority, ideology, and policy direction. On the other hand, Xinhua is only a news agency that mainly reports on the news or the fake news. But in terms of the party's important policy direction, the 2 newspapers and the 1 magazine have the highest authority. So if something is published in the 2 newspapers and 1 magazine, that is a very big deal. The second thing to check is who is the author of the article. It is Qu Qingshan. So this is the page of him on the Chinese search engine Baidu. Qu Qingshan is currently a member of the 19th CCP Central Committee and the director of the Central Institute of Party History and Literature. This is to say he is one of the core members of the CCP. As he is a member of the CCP's Central Committee, out of 90 million CCP members, there are only 204 members in the Central Committee. Also, he is the director of the CCP's Central Institute of Party History and Literature, which means he is the one who is responsible for writing the history of the party. As a matter of fact, he was given this job when Xi Jinping made major changes to the party history research institutions in 2018. This means that he had won Xi Jinping's trust at that time. I seriously believe that Qu Qingshan was also one of the authors of the CCP's 3rd resolution on its major achievements and historic experience, which portrays Xi Jinping as the new and only core of the CCP. Why? Let's see this report on the CCP's history website. The report says that on November 12th, at the press conference of the CCP's 6th plenary session, Qu Qingshan was the one who answered questions about the CCP's 3rd resolution. This means he had the authority to explain the 3rd resolution. Another important CCP website called CCP News also published an article titled Qu Qingshan Column. The 3rd resolution is the programmatic document, a political declaration, and a guide to action. So you see his name was put in the title as the one who had the authority to interpret the 3rd resolution for everyone. You know, the main message of the CCP's 3rd resolution is to establish Xi Jinping as the new core and to classify Xi Jinping's time as a new era in the CCP's history. So why, after only 1 month, the same author suddenly published another article that gives out a completely opposite message? The only answer is the internal fight inside the CCP has become so fierce that it has surfaced to the surface for everybody to see. And it is also highly possible that Xi Jinping, in his position as the director of the Central Institute of Party History and Literature, believes that the winner of the fight will not be Xi Jinping. So he wrote that article as a gesture of choosing the right side. At the CCP Central Economic Meeting held from December 8th to 10th, Xi Jinping obviously encountered quite a lot of pressure for bringing the Chinese economy to what it is today. In the 5,000-word press release about this meeting, the word stability was used 25 times. It shows that the CCP has deeply realized the crisis and uncertainty that are coming. So to stabilize this and that has become the #1 priority for the CCP now. What's funny is, after the article by Xi Jinping was published on December 9th, on December 13th, another article entitled Adhering to the Party's Comprehensive Leadership, In-Depth Study and Implementation of the Spirit of the 6th Plenary Session of the 19th CCP Central Committee was also published in the People's Daily. This article is also about 4,000 words. It mentioned Xi Jinping 6 times, Mao Zedong twice, but doesn't mention Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, or Hu Jintao at all. And the author of this article is Jiang Jinquan. So Jiang Jinquan is also a member of the 19th CCP Central Committee, as well as a member of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. He's also the director of the Policy Research Office of the CCP Central Committee. The Policy Research Office of the CCP Central Committee is the top think tank of the CCP and the actual office of the top decision maker. So from this sense, you can say that Jiang Jinquan has much more power and influence than Qu Qingshan, who is only in charge of the theory and ideology area. But the fact that such high-level figures of the CCP are openly fighting with each other on the highest level at the CCP's publication, as the CCP's publication show us, the CCP can no longer cover up its internal power struggle, and that the prospect of Xi Jinping retaining his power may not be as optimistic as we previously thought. The CCP has another very famous term, 路线斗争, which means struggle or fight over which way to go. So apart from who should be in power, the fight over which way to go is also very intense. Xi Jinping wants to go more to the left, to stick more with the CCP's original ideas, while many others, especially those who have benefited from Deng Xiaoping's reform and opening up policy, want to go back to Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao's time, when everybody could happily and quietly make huge money using corrupt practices. So as far as I can see, there is actually no way out for the CCP. There has been such a famous sentence in China for a long time: if we don't fight corruption, the nation will be doomed. If we do fight corruption, the party will be doomed. What Xi Jinping is trying to do is try to fight corruption to preserve the party. obviously he didn't get the message that fighting corruption means either you must end the party first, or the party will be ended as a result of fighting corruption, as almost all the party members are corrupt. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please help me spread them, or consider going to my website at jenniferzengblog.com, signing up for a membership or making a donation. Thank you again. Now let me see if there are any questions or comments for me to respond to. Wow, there are a lot of comments. This first one is in Chinese. He is obviously worrying if Xi Jinping was kicked out and someone from Jiang's fraction becomes in power. That could be even worse. Yes, I agree. Like I said, there is no way out as long as the CCP is there. Whoever is in the power, it won't change. So Winterbone said, I automatically like all your videos. Thank you so much. So someone asked, what on earth is going on? The Truth says, hi Jennifer, thanks for your accurate reporting. Thank you for trusting me. So David Monastery said, is Xi Jinping finished? It looks like all of China will blame Xi Jinping for the economic downfall that is happening in China. Yes, I think many people are already doing that. Like, I think there is an article in in Wall Street Journal. I think the interesting thing is this kind of thing won't get reported inside China, but I think someone within the party actually released the information for Wall Street Journal to publish that long article about how Xi Jinping mismanaged a lot of things inside China in the past year or several months. So that again showed us there was someone inside China wants to get the bad information of Xi Jinping out, so to either embrace Xi Jinping or give more power to people who want to oppose Xi Jinping. So I think the power struggle not only is happening inside China, but it have already spread out of China. So Andrew Ski said, my card won't let me super chant. Oh, sorry. Prayers for Zhou Peng, 25, died from suicide down in Zhejiang, Suzhou, November 28th. Left behind but not forgotten. Yes, thank you. So Pearly Earth said, all humans have enemies. They always fall sooner or later. It's when his own doing his emperor without a clothes. Yes, I think. So Andrew Sky also, I wonder how Xi Jinping's family living in Australia are doing. I'd be sweating. I have no idea. I think I only heard that China's former vice chairman Zeng Qinghong's son, I forgot his name. He was in Australia. He is in Australia or was in Australia. He bought a huge luxury house, and at that time, all people in Australia knew about that. Okay, Jennifer, for crying out loud, get in touch with Lily Tang Williams and Jiang Tang Gai. Yes, actually, I'm a Facebook friend with Lily Tang, and I sometimes share her message when she posted something on Facebook. Wow, Jennifer, you are so great. Do bless that. Thank you. So there are some discussions of making donation to me. Thank you. I think whether you do or not, as long as you are here, you watch my video, you should help me share them and spread the message. I'm very, very grateful. So Seek the Truth asks Jennifer, who will come out ahead in this confrontation? I think it's right now it seems maybe Xi Jinping is still, I think, running a little bit ahead, but who knows? You know, in that black box of the CCP, anything can happen. Just like when one day before Lin Biao died, nobody in China, in the entire China, know anything about it and how serious that matter was, because there was no transparency. So Dragon Slayer said, you have given me a lot to think about. I don't know what will happen with Biden if it doesn't have Xi Jinping. Okay, that's another story. Okay, seems there are no more questions for me. Okay, maybe let's stop here. We've already broadcast for nearly half an hour. Okay, thank you. So have a nice weekend. See you next week.